and welcome back to Finding Wendy. Thanks for joining me this week. If you're new to my channel, welcome. Every week, every Sunday, I actually post a video to my Finding Wendy YouTube channel. And first of all, I talk about my stats, about my weekly update, and some other topics of conversation. This week, I'm going to be talking about the all-famous set point discussion. So first, my stats. I started this whole journey back in December 2017. I weighed 450 pounds. I started my month-long Optifast liquid diet on February 20th, and I was 400 pounds. I had my surgery at Toronto Western Hospital with Dr. Timothy Jackson on March 20th, and I was 375. Last week I was 275, and this week I'm 274, so I've lost 1 pound. Which is good because I had a bit of a stall last week. So that means I've lost 100 pounds since my surgery, which now I've passed the 8-month mark because it was 8 months ago that I had the surgery. So it's this 8th month surgiversary, as they call it. And then in total, 176 pounds lost. So yeah, I'm very, very proud of myself and very proud of the results. So, yeah, 176 pounds lost, 100 pounds since the surgery. So I wanted to talk to you about some updates from this week and what I've been up to, and some NSVs as well, non-scale victories. So as I mentioned last week, I had my bariatric support group meeting, and we were supposed to be getting a talk from a practitioner that works at Sick Kids Hospital here in Toronto about exercise for obese children, and but unfortunately she canceled because she was sick. So we gave our own presentations. 4 of us post-op patients gave a presentation to the room. There was about 50 people in the room, and about our journey, our experiences. So I showed them my PowerPoint presentation, and here's a link again to that video that I posted as a video, as well as a video from the PowerPoint presentation about the tools I use for this whole journey, and also talked about my Finding Wendy YouTube channel, and talking basically about my journey. And so that was very, very enlightening as well. The other people that spoke about their journey as well. And here's a picture of some of my friends in the support group meeting, and that we see each other every 2 weeks at Toronto Western Hospital. So the other news is that I bought a new couch. So my old couch, which was basically the couch that the 450-pound Wendy used to sit on, was done. It was like I had a crater where my bum is, and it was so uncomfortable. And lately I've been getting people to ask to stay overnight because I live in downtown Toronto, and of course it's prime real estate to come and stay the night and party and come back and crash. So I bite the bullet, and I bought a new couch at IKEA. It's the last time I'm going to do something like this because I bought it online. So I wasn't really able to sit on it before I bought it, which was not smart. So it's a bit on the hard side. It will soften up, but I think it looks pretty good. What do you think? So it's like it turns into, it's like a sofa bed. It turns into a queen size bed. I had my appointment with my doctor this week, my GP, and the great news is that my blood pressure is perfect. So here's a picture of my with the blood pressure machine. So my blood pressure is 118/80, which is fantastic, fantastic. And she was so happy to see me. She hadn't seen me in months, so it was so cute that she gave me a hug at the doctor's office because she was so proud of me. So that was cool. I wanted to talk about this famous topic called the set point. And there are 2 articles that I read recently, and one of them was forwarded to me by a friend. I'm putting on my computer glasses here. And she sent me an article that comes from a psychologist, psychiatrist, psychologist or psychiatrist. I can never remember which one is which. It's called "The Shrink on Your Couch," and it talks about this article, and I'm going to post the links below to both of these articles about this whole discussion about the set point. And basically the beginning of the article talks about why this particular person had bariatric surgery. And just read some passages from this article to you that I found very interesting. So we've all had situations for those of you that have had the bariatric surgery, we've all had moments in our life where there were a couple of moments that sort of built up, and then all of a sudden the light bulb moment went off, like, that's it, I need to do bariatric surgery. And this person here writes about it as well, that, so he writes, sorry, I just have to look whether or not it's a he or a she. I think it's a he. He writes, quote unquote, rather, there were moments experiencing of learning, all of which gathered critical mass, like individual dewdrops on a window that find each other and create a downward stream in the union. So there's dew on the window, they get together and it's like one big drop. And isn't life usually like this? Yes, for sure. Aren't all big decisions preceded by a myriad of interlinking streams and tributaries, following ultimately into one big river of action, where there's enough tension in the system? When the flow has reached a particular momentum, we step into our power through action, but it's seldom due to one incident, even when it feels as though it is. For me, there was a Friday afternoon run-in with a horrible 5-year-old at my daughter's school. I say this somewhat tongue-in-cheek, as I truly don't believe in horrible children, but it was a horrible experience. It had already been a long and taxing morning, and I walked in to fetch Ariana, feeling quite burdened and preoccupied. All of a sudden, like an assault from the blue, a little boy torpedoed himself towards me, punched my ample gut, and announced loudly that, "You are very, very fat." Horrifying, mortifying, public. I was surrounded by mums and dads. I knew the mums and dads I didn't. And I'd actually been walking in with and chatting to a mom who runs a 90K ultra marathons and has a physique to confirm this. She, thankfully, was incredibly deft at decompressing the situation, making some light but incredibly empathetic diversions. So basically, there was a moment in my life where I was confronted with, I need to really do something about my weight. And it basically happened 3 years ago when I was in Ithaca, New York, for a horn symposium, and I met a woman, a horn player, who had stretch marks on her arms. And so I thought, I gotta talk to her because it looks like she lost a lot of weight. And indeed, when I spoke to her later on a bench outside, she told me that she indeed had bariatric surgery and that she'd lost over 100 pounds. And so that was the light bulb moment. There were all sorts of things building up. I wasn't feeling well. I was getting bigger and bigger. I had all sorts of gallbladder attacks over the years. I was even in the hospital a year ago at Christmas. I was in the hospital over New Year's Eve from a gallbladder attack at 450 pounds. So there are all sorts of things that sort of led me to the road, to the light bulb moment that I'm going to have surgery, and I'm going to need to have this surgery in order to drastically change my lifestyle. So then this article talks later about this whole set point discussion. So let me get to the point of the article. So the set point discussion. The medical scientists spoke about how 90 to 95% of the global population, it is basically impossible to lose a significant amount of weight and maintain that loss. Hello, I yo-yoed all my life. She presented new research which found that the human body will somewhat readily shed up to 10% of its mass, but once it gets to 11 or 12% loss, it becomes an untamed gangster, hell-bent on shooting that body mass right up to its original weight and beyond. that we all have a weight set point, which becomes our body's reference point and equilibrium mark, the inevitable number that it will always fight to maintain. When I say fight, I literally mean evoke ravenous cravings that make a person unaware of his theory. Just feel loserish, defeating, self-loathing, and pre-deprecating. So your weight set point, when you've gained weight over so many years, your weight set point changes and gets higher and higher and higher. So for myself, for many, many years, I can't remember how many years, I was around 350. And no matter what diet I did, I've done Dr. Atkins, I've done Weight Watchers, I've done diet and exercise, I've done eat once a day, every other day, everything. But the weight set point, after a few months, would just fight with me, and these cravings would come back, and I would regain the weight that I've lost. I've done it many times, believe me. So this is a sad and sobering truth. Asserted is that the set point can and does increase without too much trouble. But it takes 7 years at a reduced weight for that lower number to become a new natural set point. So say you're on a keto diet. You have to be on a keto diet and continue losing weight for seven years before your old set point has reset to your new weight. Otherwise, when you go off the diet, whatever diet you're on, being a keto diet or whatever diet, your set point will go back up again, and you'll start having these uncontrollable cravings and start gaining weight again. So this is very frustrating. So you'll be moody and cranky for 7 years of fighting nature, because nature and your body wants to get back to its original set weight. But what has changed, and what scientists have found, and what doctors have found, is that the other way to reset your weight set point is to have bariatric weight loss surgery. So it has been proven by many medical professionals, online, offline, and developed this sediment that weight loss surgery has been found is generally the only mechanism that seems to override the set point. So after surgical intervention and subsequent weight shedding, studies show that the set point resets, and resets much lower. Hence, patients lose 20, 30, 40, or 50% of their body weight and don't usually suffer from this vicious backlash and urgency to binge. So that's great news for me. So that's something that I have struggled with all my life, with this stupid yo-yoing, or what it's actually in the scientific world called getting back to your weight set point. So I'm going to post this article as a link underneath. I highly recommend that you read it because it is so important. So if you decide to have weight loss surgery, great. So you can reset your set point and not worry about regain. If you're not having weight loss surgery and you're just following a diet, beware. You have to stick to your diet for at least 7 years, or that set point, that biological set point, is going to hound you and you're going to gain the weight back. I also discovered another article written by Dr. Stephen Woods, who's a PhD, about the set point and about the evidence of the set point. And he also mentions that the overall takeaway, it is that the set point does reset after bariatric surgery, and that it is definitely a better or easier way to reset your set point as opposed to doing the dieting. So 7 years. If you're not going to do the surgery, 7 years is what you're going to have to struggle with. I mean, the thing is with the weight loss surgery that I had, and what I've seen other bariatric patients in my bariatric program had, like 5 years, 6 years, 7 years down the road. Sure, it's a struggle, but we have a smaller stomach now, so we can't eat as much, right? So that helps for sure. And that yeah, I find is a very, very interesting. Again, I'm doing so much research in this whole bariatric world that I didn't even know was out there. And your weight set point is a new term that I've learned as well, and I'll talk about that at my next bariatric support group meeting as well. Because it's just so interesting that all of this information is out there now for anybody who struggles with weight loss. Anyways, that's it for this week. I hope you enjoyed my Finding Wendy segment for this week, and we will see you again next week. Please don't forget to subscribe and ring the little bell, and we'll see you again next week. Have a great day, and bye-bye for now.